tonight on Ctv3 News. Cabinet rejects BTL Smart deal after weeks of debate. Public pressure and a looming union demonstration. So what happens to the deal now? And what about the blackout protest set for tomorrow and the demonstration scheduled for Tuesday, August 18th? We'll also tell you about the smart sugar platform that was launched to transform access to industry services. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Thursday, August 13th, 2026.
Money travels fast, so make sure you check it before you spend it. Here are 4 easy ways to know your money is real. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Look closely at your note by holding it to the light to see the watermark and the note value. Notice how the see-through image completes itself perfectly. Feel for authenticity. Run your fingers over the raised portrait and the bars on the edges. 1 bar for the $2 and up to 6 bars for the $100. Tilt the note to see the hidden value appear. Look for the moving images on the security thread and holographic shimmer on higher denominations. Check closely. Use UV light or a magnifying glass to find hidden images and microtext. Remember, handling counterfeit money is illegal. If you spot a fake, report it to the police immediately. Look, feel, tilt, and check. Know your money. Check it before you spend it. A message from the Central Bank of Belize.
In Belize, the Public Utilities Commission works every day amid the rhythm of economic activities to ensure homes, businesses, and communities have access to necessary utility services. Through regulations, the Public Utilities Commission powers progress, connect communities, encourage new ideas and bold innovation, manage consumer rights, guide change, and serves in the best interests of national development for a future that benefits us all. Every decision is informed by evidence and guided by regulations and the law. So if and when changes arise in any of Belize's utility sectors, including situations that may affect competition, regulations and laws allow the PUC to carefully assess those changes, ensuring consumers are treated fairly while maintaining a sustainable utility sector. The Public Utilities Commission, guided by the law, informed by evidence, working to ensure fair and sustainable utility services for Belize.
The first week we had it at Henry. Now this second week we're having it here at Georgetown Technical High School. Basically what we're doing is that we're trying to get youths involved in agriculture, especially because that is very important. We need it for food security, we need them to be sustainable. So we target them at a young age so that they can be able to incorporate whatever activity they're learning in their daily life, especially during the summer days, right? Regular summer camps would entail them probably to have some fun games outdoors and different other activities, but in terms of agriculture, we get them involved in different activities. For example, the whole week it's broken down in different activities. We had on Monday, we had horticulture, meaning that they had the opportunity to sow a seed, to do transplanting in a cover structure. On Tuesday, we taught them about livestock concept when it comes to New World screwworm, different livestock related activities. Wednesday, beekeeping. Thursday, we focus on agro-processing, getting preparations when it comes to hands-on practice with healthy breakfast, healthy meals. And then on Friday, we wrap up with aquaculture.
I just wanted to see the different topics we were going to learn about to try to learn something. We were learning about beekeeping, and I learned a lot that in one bee box, they can be up to 80,000 bees. I've been having a lot of fun.
They are always excited. I mean, every day they come, you see a lot of sense of happiness and humor within them that they want to come to the agriculture summer program.
I'm very impressed with the amount of participants because we tried to limit it to 50. I believe today we have almost 70. And so we're doing serious encouragement for young people. Because when I assume the responsibility as Minister of Agriculture, I recognize that young people don't want to do agriculture anymore. They want to be in tourism or academics or something of that regard. But as a nation, agriculture is the backbone of any economy. So as the minister responsible, I want to do everything possible to encourage young people to go into farming.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. The proposed acquisition of Smart SpeedNet by Belize Telemedia Limited BTL has hit a major roadblock, with Cabinet announcing today that it will not support the controversial transaction. In an official statement, Cabinet characterized the proposed deal as a matter of national concern, saying the government has a duty to carefully assess the information available and take into account concerns raised by Cabinet members, social partners, the media, and members of the public. The decision comes after weeks of increasing scrutiny and opposition surrounding the proposed acquisition. Trade unions, business interests, and other stakeholders had voiced concerns about the transaction, while the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, NTUCB, had moved towards organizing protest action in response to the deal that would have also seen the participation of the largest union movement, the Belize National Teachers Union. The controversy also brought to light growing differences within several ministers who had either openly questioned the acquisition or indicated that they required additional information before giving their support, underscoring the lack of consensus within Cabinet. Against that backdrop, Cabinet held presentations with key stakeholders this week as ministers considered competing arguments over the proposed transaction and its potential implications for Belize. Following those discussions, Cabinet reached its position and stated plainly it is Cabinet's informed position that it does not support the proposed acquisition. The announcement marks a significant setback for BTL, whose leadership had publicly defended the proposed purchase as a move that would provide financial and strategic benefits to the company. Cabinet's decision effectively brings weeks of political debate and public pressure to a decisive movement. The government said its position was reached after reviewing the information before it and considering the concerns expressed by Belizeans and various sectors of society. The rejection is likely to fuel further discussion about the future of the proposed acquisition, the role of government in major telecommunications transactions, and the broader concerns raised over consolidation in Belize's telecommunications sector. The social partners are welcoming Cabinet's decision not to support the proposed acquisition of SpeedNet Communications Limited, Smart, by Belize Telemedia Limited BTL, describing the announcement as an important response to concerns raised by Belizeans and a demonstration of the power of public engagement. The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry BCCI, the National Trade Union Congress of Belize NTUCB, the National Evangelical Association of Belize NEB, and the Belize Network of Non-Governmental Organizations BNN, together with their respective independent senators, said Cabinet's position reflects the significance of the widespread concerns surrounding the proposed telecommunications transaction. The groups commended Cabinet for taking into account the concerns expressed across the country, saying the development highlights the value of public scrutiny, collective action, and meaningful participation in decisions affecting the national interest. However, the social partners stress that Cabinet's announcement does not on its own settle the legal or regulatory status of the proposed acquisition. They pointed to the Public Utilities Commission (PUC) as the relevant regulatory authority, noting that the Commission remains legally obligated to carry out its responsibilities under the applicable laws. The social partners said the regulatory process must therefore continue independently, transparently, and in full compliance with Belize's statutory framework. The organizations also renewed the demands outlined in their August 6, 2026 statement, urging the PUC to address the outstanding regulatory issues surrounding the proposed acquisition. Among the concerns requiring attention are the potential impact of the transaction on competition and whether the proposed deal complies with Belize's telecommunications laws and regulatory requirements. At the same time, the social partners are calling on the BTL board to fulfill its legal and fiduciary responsibilities and provide complete responses to the outstanding requests made by the organizations. In particular, they are seeking financial information, valuation documents, and other relevant material needed to properly examine the proposed transaction, as well as the manner in which the deal has been evaluated and advanced to this point. The social partners emphasize that Cabinet's decision does not eliminate the need for accountability over the circumstances surrounding the proposed acquisition. They said their position has remained consistent from the beginning. The proposed acquisition is too significant to proceed without thorough examination of its financial, competitive, legal, and regulatory implications. While describing Cabinet's announcement as a significant development, the social partners cautioned that the matter is far from concluded. They said the decision demonstrates that public voices can influence matters of national importance, but stressed that additional questions must still be answered and the proper regulatory processes completed. The social partners pledged to remain united and engaged in the public interest until the outstanding concerns are addressed, the relevant legal and regulatory requirements are respected, and adequate safeguards are in place to protect the interests of the Belizean people. For the organization's Cabinet's announcement marks an important step, but not the end of the process. The focus now shifts to the PUC, the BTL board, and other relevant stakeholders to ensure that transparency, accountability, and the rule of law guide every remaining stage of the proposed transaction. With the BTL Smart acquisition now off the table, questions are mounting over whether Cabinet was divided on the proposed transaction, who supported or opposed it, and what influence the notices of protest from the NTUCB and BNTU may have had on the minister's decision. While some of those questions are expected to be answered in the coming days, what we can confirm is that up until shortly before the Cabinet release was issued, ministers were still prepared to vote on whether to approve or reject the deal at the Tuesday, August 18th meeting.
Yes, it has been discussed amongst our cabinet. We had 3 presentations from Social Security, BTL, and was it
SSB.
and the PUC. And so I'm waiting for Tuesday to see what will be the decision.
You have to decide. You will contribute to that decision.
That's right. So we'll see as a cabinet. That's what we have to do.
Do you feel the pressure of the people to oppose this deal?
There is from the people, but the people is also Social Security, represented by Social Security in a way, because they have some investments in detail. So you have to look at it from all sides.
The people don't want it.
Which people?
Belizean citizens, the owners of BTL and the owners of
how do you know that?
Because you see it all on social media. You speak to people. They've been making
how many
their
people on social
position
media?
known.
I have seen.
So the unions are going to demonstrate Tuesday while you all are meeting. The unions represent hundreds of workers, thousands actually.
So it's going to be a decision that cabinet will make on Tuesday.
There is no doubt that the proposed takeover of SpeedNet Communications Limited by Belize Telemedia Limited BTL faced serious questions from two of Belize's major social partners, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry BCCI and the National Trade Union Congress of Belize NTUCB, who were scheduled to meet with Cabinet today to present their positions on controversial buyout. The meeting, however, did not proceed as initially planned, as the Chamber says its President and Chief Executive Officer are currently part of the official Belize delegation in El Salvador for the signing of the Belize-El Salvador Partial Scope Agreement, a trade arrangement expected to create additional commercial opportunities for Belizean businesses. This pushed back against suggestions that the Chamber refuse or decline to engage Cabinet. Since the BCCI was unable to make it to today's meeting, its members and those of the NTUCB requested that the meeting be briefly rescheduled. According to President of the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, Ella Waite, both unions remain prepared to sit down with Cabinet together with the other social partners before the government could have made its final determination on the deal.
When the invitation came from the cabinet for the BCCI and NTUCB to attend a meeting with the cabinet, we would have attended if the BCCI was not traveling. I think it's to El Salvador, and they would not have been able to make it today, which is Thursday. We informed the cabinet secretary that it would be best to postpone the meeting to next week. We did not get confirmation of that postponement. Sorry. So we, again, acting as a block, we told the other social partners that we would not attend alone. None of us would attend alone, not NTUCB and not BCCI. So we were at that point. Then we wrote as a team on August 11th, as the public may know, we wrote as a team asking for information, the data request for financial statements and independent valuation reports, and any other outstanding reports that we had asked for to be submitted so that the social partners can review those and then meet with the cabinet. But that would have to include the four social partners, not just BCCI and NTUCB. You see, I understand to an extent why the government would say, let's only invite BCCI and NTUCB, but that is when it comes to the tripartite structure, when we have labor issues. This is beyond labor issues. This is a national issue. So it is only fair that all the social partners would be invited to the cabinet meeting to present everyone's viewpoint as to why not at this time support an acquisition. So it is not a labor issue where only the BCCI and NTUCB should take part in. It is a national issue.
The National Trade Union Congress of Belize has been extremely forceful in its opposition to the proposed buyout that has now been shelved. The trade union umbrella organization warned that the acquisition could effectively eliminate competition between BTL and Smart, creating a telecommunications monopoly with potential consequences for consumer choice, employment, and the wider economy. BTL, however, dismissed that notion. The NTUCB also joined for greater transparency and scrutiny of the transaction and mobilized its membership and the wider public in opposition as it called on workers and members of the public to wear black on Friday, August 14th, as part of its blackout BTL protest against the proposed acquisition. So, will that movement still take place? According to Ella Waite, the president of the NTUCB, it will.
The National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, BNN, and the evangelical churches, we have mobilized as a bloc to ensure we put more pressure on the issue that is at hand, which is the acquisition of SpeedNet Smart by BTL. And we do start, as with any other action that a union would do, we do start with small or soft agitation. Our first one being for tomorrow, where we're asking everyone, being workers, unionized workers or not unionized, students, employers, everyone, every citizen of Belize, to express their objection to the proposed acquisition by wearing black. We chose black because black is a very common color, not for any other reason, and that is something that we can find quickly in our closet. We're also asking that when persons do wear black, that they take a picture of them wearing that color and then post it on social media. Let's flood social media platforms with our stance on saying no to the acquisition. We also would like that persons speak out, make comments of why they will not, why they are not supporting the acquisition, and of course to stand united, because our next.
The union movement was also preparing for a larger demonstration and rally on August 18th, the same day Cabinet was scheduled to deliberate and announce its position on the deal. When it comes to that protest, Wade told us via text that the union will be consulting with its affiliates and will also be getting legal advice. As for the Belize National Teachers Union, BNTU, it is rallying its membership to take part in next Tuesday's national demonstration. The scenario will change unless, and we quote, the government representatives on the BTL board rescind the yes vote. If that does not happen, the union says it will proceed with the protest as planned. Callis explained that the union's involvement comes after the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, NTUCB, called on all affiliated unions and their members to participate in the demonstration.
You have been asking for the BNTU to get involved, but the BNTU Council of Management believes that these are national issues and that the NTUCB should lead. Now that there is a plan of action, the BNTU Council of Management is fully on board with what the NTUCB has recommended. Members, you have spoken to your leaders. You have spoken to me. You have emailed and text. You have said a lot in the chat groups. Now, this is the opportunity for us to collectively register our discontent as it pertains to all of these national issues, including the proposed acquisition of SMART. In those meetings, you will be educated further. But I want you to know that the BNTU, your organization, who is a part of the NTUCB, normally supports the NTUCB when the NTUCB calls on its affiliate to be a part of actions like these.
For Callis, the issue goes beyond the proposed telecommunications deal. She described the protest as an important movement for Belizeans to remind elected officials that they are accountable to the people who replaced them in office.
It is important that our leaders pay keen attention to what is happening and understand that we are all in power because the people, for me, my membership, for them, the electorate of this country, voted them in. So it's important that we pay attention to what the electorates are saying. And by extension, you are electorates, my members. We are electorates. Not only will you be having the unions, but the social partners as well. We'll be out there. Like I said, it's deja vu, 2005. We have to dialogue. We have to discuss. We have to listen. The assets of this country belongs to us. The elected officials are temporary custodians. Therefore, decisions need to be made in the best interest of the Belizean people and not a minority.
With the August 18 demonstration approaching, the BNTU's mobilization adds the country's largest teachers' union to a growing labor movement demanding greater public scrutiny and accountability surrounding the proposed BTL Smart transaction. The proposed $80 million acquisition of SpeedNet Communications Limited, operator of Smart, by Belize Telemedia Limited BTL, is faced renewed scrutiny even from the Belize communications worker for justice BCWJ, who demanded greater transparency over the financial, technological, and social implications of the deal. The workers' organization reiterated its opposition to the transaction, stressing that its concerns have remained consistent since it first publicly addressed the proposed acquisition. BCWJ says Belizeans should look beyond the headline $80 million price tag and demand clear answers about what BTL is actually purchasing, how the assets were valued, what additional costs could arise from the deal, and how the acquisition could affect competition, consumers, and employees. According to PCWJ, recent public statements surrounding the proposed transaction have not adequately addressed those concerns. In particular, claims regarding a rapid return on investment, available network capacity, and the value of SpeedNet's assets, the organization argues, should be backed by evidence that regulators, social partners, and the wider public can independently examine. A central question raised by BCWJ is the actual value of SpeedNet's assets if BTL intends to transition Smart customers into its existing network. The organization says the public should be provided with a detailed explanation of how SpeedNet's technology, infrastructure, spectrum, customer base, and other assets were assessed and assigned value. Just as importantly, BCWJ says BTL must explain the potential costs associated with integrating, replacing, or retiring SpeedNet system following the acquisition. Among the information BCWJ wants examines are audited multi-year financial records supporting the purchase price and projected payback period, an independent valuation of SpeedNet and the assumptions underlying BTL's financial projections, a comprehensive assessment of SpeedNet's technology, infrastructure, and integration requirements, the likely impacts of eliminating BTL's principal competitor on competition, service quality and consumer choice, and a detailed plan outlining the potential impact on workers, including job duplication, employment protections, and redundancy costs. And BCWJ also argues that the proposed acquisition should be considered alongside unresolved obligations involving former BTL employees. The organization says a number of former workers have reported unanswered correspondence, disputed calculations, and claims that were rejected or deemed ineligible without what they consider sufficient explanation. On August 10, 2026, attorneys representing 146 former BTL employees issued a formal pre-action protocol letter concerning claims for statutory severance and gratuity. The letter calls for an individual accounting for each claimant, including the status and calculation of the claim, the basis for any pension offset, and the factual and legal grounds relied upon where a claim has been rejected. BCWG said those individual matters will now proceed through the appropriate legal channels and stressed that it does not intend to litigate the claims through the media. However, the organization maintains that the broader question of corporate accountability remains a matter of public interest, particularly as BTL seeks approval for a major acquisition. BCWG argues that BTL should be able to provide clear answers about its existing obligations. It also says the Social Security Board, as a significant shareholder representing workers' Social Security interests, should have access to the relevant information. The organization further maintains that the Public Utilities Commission should consider the issue as part of its statutory review, while Cabinet should have a complete understanding of the financial and social implications before taking a position on the transaction. Coming up next, land ownership challenges hinder sugar farmers' access to industry support. Stay Stay tuned.
Every day, the demand on your business get higher. More productivity, better equipment, and reliable support to keep up with a fast-moving world. At Cellular World Business Solutions, we're ready to help you boost performance across every operation. Don't let outdated technology hold you back. With our certified and supported solutions, your business stays ahead. We supply office equipment, printers, inks, and toners, software licenses, IT system assembly as your Dell Platinum and Cisco partner, appliances, and custom orders tailored to your needs. From startups to large enterprises and renowned institutions, we serve every corner of the country because no industry can afford to fall behind on technology. Let's take your business to the next level. Contact us today at 610-2494. Cellular World Business Solutions, your reliable partner in business success.
When I come here with me and my family, I get quality service. I have no problem with the doctors nor the nurses. It has a lot of impact on the families because they can also use the service just like me. People younger than me have to pay $2 while I get my medication free.
So that's the great thing about NHI, that you can, access the service based on your ability to pay or not. All right. So that's the game changer of NHI, is that a consultation is $2. And I think if you don't have the $2, we would never deny the service. Built into that is children under 5 years old or above 60 years old or pregnant women. They have been suspended from the $2, what we call co-pay. So for them it's totally free.
I am glad because before I would have to pay out of pocket. Now, well, because I'm senior citizen, I can get most of them for free.
I think NHI is for everybody. Once you have a social security card, you should register for NHI.
In Belize, the Public Utilities Commission works every day amid the rhythm of economic activities to ensure homes, businesses, and communities have access to necessary utility services. Through regulations, the Public Utilities Commission powers progress, connect communities, encourage new ideas and bold innovation, manage consumer rights, guide change, and serves in the best interests of national development for a future that benefits us all. Every decision is informed by evidence and guided by regulations and the law. So if and when changes arise in any of Belize's utility sectors, including situations that may affect competition, regulations and laws allow the PUC to carefully assess those changes, ensuring consumers are treated fairly while maintaining a sustainable utility sector. The Public Utilities Commission, guided by the law, informed by evidence, working to ensure fair and sustainable utility services for Belize.
Two police officers convicted in connection with the death of 25-year-old Santa Cruz resident Andrew Dugal have been sentenced to 11 years in prison each. John Lucas and Jaleel Lewis appeared before Justice Antoinette Moore at the Belmopan High Court on Tuesday, August 11th, where the sentences were imposed 1 week after they were found guilty of manslaughter following a judge-alone trial. The court heard that Dugal died after sustaining serious injuries during an encounter with the officers in Santa Cruz in 2022. His condition later deteriorated and he died at the hospital after suffering internal bleeding and other complications. Attorney Audrey Matura, who represented Lucas, said the court took the officers' previously clean records into consideration as a mitigating factor. However, their status as police officers was considered as aggravating circumstance. Lewis was represented by attorney Earl Hamilton. Justice Moore convicted both officers on August 4th after determining that the injuries Dugal sustained during the police encounter ultimately caused his death. The case was prosecuted by Crown Counsel Javier Chan on behalf of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Neither Lucas nor Lewis testified during the proceedings, having exercised their right to remain silent. The case drew significant public attention after cell phone footage surfaced showing parts of the encounter. The video included scenes of Dugal being handled roughly and forcibly placed into the back of a police pickup truck. A key point of contention during the trial was Dugal's hemophilia, an inherited condition that affects the body's ability to clot blood. Matura had argued that the condition contributed to the severity of his injuries, particularly as internal bleeding continued following the encounter. Despite that argument, the court concluded that the injuries inflicted during the confrontation were responsible for Dugal's death. Lucas and Lewis were remanded into custody following their convictions on August 4th. With the sentences now handed down, both officers will serve 11 years in prison for the manslaughter of Dugal. On Wednesday, we told you about the meeting Prime Minister John Rosenio held with sugar industry stakeholders last Thursday, where several issues affecting the sector were discussed. During the meeting, industry representatives also updated the Prime Minister on ongoing projects, including the Backstuff initiative, which is aimed at strengthening and improving the sugar industry. SICB Chairman Marcus Osorio says while these projects offer significant benefits to the industry, many farmers are struggling to access them because of difficulties proving land ownership. Osorio says the issue of land ownership and obtaining proper land titles was raised directly with the Prime Minister, as farmers without the required documentation can face challenges accessing support and participating in development projects. He says addressing the land tenure issue is important if farmers are to fully benefit from the investments and opportunities being made available to the sugar industry.
That one of the primary challenges in any of the two projects, and I believe in future projects, it has to do with farmers having legal documentation for the land that they're working, and we foresee that that will continue being a challenge, where the projects come along with requirements, and one of those key requirements is that the farmer need to have some sort of legal entitlement or authorization for use of the land where he is working. And we know the reality is that most farmers don't have, which creates a bigger challenge in that funding is available, but it is basically non-accessible because of that condition built within the project. We have been working, and Minister Martinez have been in discussions with Minister of Natural Resources, Honorable Cordell Hyde, to see if we can get some support from Ministry of Lands and to some sort of support to assist farmers in getting in some way their land papers. But we also understand that it's not an easy process. So that have its own challenges, but I can also say, and we want to recognize everyone's support, especially the projects, the CRESAP project, which is providing funding where cane farmers can access funding by way of a matching grant program, which means a portion as a grant and a portion as a loan or farmers' own financing, which could be for field maintenance, it could be for replanting, and it could be for buying equipment that fits within the criteria of the project, built within the climate smart practices. So, and also that's under the CRESAP. And then we have the Backstuff project, which is targeting to replant 10,000 acres of cane land, but with a new design and have those 10,000 acres for mechanical harvesting readiness, which means complete redesign of the cane parcels, longer rows, etc., and best practices or climate smart practices.
The industry is hoping that discussions with the government will help identify solutions to the land ownership and title challenges faced by farmers. Sugar industry stakeholders gathered today for the launch of the Smart Sugar Platform, a new digital system aimed at bringing key services and information for the industry together under one platform. The initiative is being implemented under the BackSelf project with the goal of improving access to services and strengthening support for sugarcane farmers and other industry stakeholders. Mansfield Blackwood, Assistant Executive Director of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, highlighted the importance of collaboration in developing solutions for the industry.
One of the key innovations on the BackSelf is a Smart Sugar Cluster Platform. This platform brings together farm mapping, weather information, grant management, digital records, paper systems, and monitoring tools into a single integrated platform. Instead of relying heavily on paper-based processes and fragmented information, stakeholders, those who will use the platform, will have access to faster, more efficient, and more transparent systems that improve coordination across the sector. Whether it is tracking field activities, processing grant requests, monitoring project implementation, or accessing important farm data, technology helps everyone work more efficiently and make better informed decisions. In an industry where timing is critical, as we all know, access to accurate information can make a real difference in productivity and profitability. The greatest value of the Smart Sugar Cluster is the practical benefit it delivers directly to farmers. Through the platform, farmers will be able to submit applications and grant requests electronically and track their process throughout the approval process. This creates greater transparency and allows farmers to understand exactly where their requests stand at any given time. The platform also supports secure digital transactions through Wallet On, allowing payments and grant disbursements to be made more efficiently and directly, reducing delays and strengthening accountability. In addition, access to updated farm maps, weather information, production records, and service schedules will help farmers make better decisions regarding planting, harvesting, irrigation, drainage, and other important farm operations. Simply put, the Smart Sugar Cluster is designed to make it easier for farmers, for those of us present here today who will use it, to access services, receive support, manage information, and improve overall farm performance. As we move forward, the success of BackSelf will depend on continued collaboration among farmers, industry organizations, government, development partners, and all stakeholders who share a commitment to the future of Belize's sugar industry.
Anissa Na, Proposal Development Officer at the Ministry of Economic Transformation, also participated in the launch as stakeholders emphasized the need for digital tools that can improve efficiency and accessibility within the sector.
For the government, what makes this project quite important and quite special to us that it aligns to our national priorities. Under the MTDS, the Medium-Term Development Strategy 2.0, which was recently approved by Cabinet, we focus on building a more productive sector, a more resilient and inclusive sector and economy. The strategy, we realize that we need to focus on the importance of sustainability, of rural development, of climate resilience, better coordination, and the use of reliable information for implementation results. So BackSoft is a practical example of those priorities coming together. We have an important productive sector. We have farmers and communities that rely and depend on that sector. We have a climate and other pressures affecting the sector, and now we have the climate finance through the GCF being able to finance and address those challenges within the sector. So the project supports different activities that Assistant ED did mention, which includes the irrigation and the soil management, just to name a few. But today's focus is on one part of the investment, which is the Smart Sugar Cluster platform. And this tool for farmers, it means easier access to grants or better visibility of their applications. We're not guessing who has this document, where do we need to take this document. We have it all at the palm of our hands. For sugarcane associations and service providers, it means we have a better coordination system and we have more transparent processes. And across the wider value chain, it helps us to connect the people involved and improve information and support.
Darrell Audinet, Senior Project Officer with BackSoft, the launch marks an important stage in the project's implementation. Audinet says the goal is not only to establish a platform, but to eventually make the system independent and allow the sugar industry to manage and sustain it over the long term.
You think of the Smart Sugar Cluster, you have the industry right now that is a organic system, right? You have a value chain within the sugar industry. The idea of the Smart Sugar Cluster is digitizing that, having a digital community where all the various sections of the industry, the persons, stakeholders, service providers within the value chain has a part of that digital community. They have a way of interacting with each other. There's an element that has a marketplace, so potential service providers could market their services and goods there. Farmers have access to ready information from BSI-ESR, for instance, as the miller. We have the associations being players there. So there's this digital interaction that this platform, and that is the significance of it, that we're moving away from the days of where value chain information has to be manually done. It has to come from the miller, it has to come from the buyer, it has to come from the service provider actually going to visit farmers or vice versa to interact and transact. So this is a digital platform that allows us to do so. One of the elements that this particular project is aiming at is to introduce additional segments that will include financial institutions to provide resources that would allow for farmers to access financing through grants, but also there's an element where the project is providing grant funding as well. So essentially bringing all of those elements to the doorstep or cell phone, in this case, of the farmers. One of the important things to highlight is that this Smart Sugar Cluster builds on existing system that the industry would have already created through other donors. The IDB, for instance, would have provided initial support through the through BSI-ESR to develop a platform. That platform was the Smart Grow Up. That was launched, I believe, last year. And so what we're doing here is that we've built on that, we've expanded it, we've added in the BackSoft, the option for grants, we've added in the option for loans. And so the idea is that we're expanding it and removing governance away from a particular entity to where the industry owns the governance of the Smart Sugar Cluster. So,
with the platform now live, training will also be made available to farmers to help them understand and make use of the new services.
We have envisioned a series of training, mentorship and formal training, right? Because we have a series of training that we're planning with the developers, with other stakeholder partners in helping farmers to understand how do you go from uploading it to your phone, maneuvering, navigating through the system, and how do you actually go about the other functionalities of using e-currency or tokens in its implementation. So a slew of training will be done. What we're doing today is a launch. We're sensitizing, we're bringing it to the attention. Hey, we have this app. We're going through a series of training now to bring farmers up to speed to actually utilize it. The second element of training, of course, is mentorship. We have, and at the last segment of the session, we introduced our box of team. These are the persons, the team, the staff that are on the ground, and so they will be readily available, going to farmers, talk to them about the app, to help them troubleshoot any issues. So there's both levels, formal and then the more person-to-person training.
The VaxSAF project is currently in its third year, with stakeholders now looking towards full implementation of its activities, including efforts to advance clean seed production for the sugar industry.
We are actually about to start the third year of the project, and so understanding that with the issues that we've had with fusarium and replanting, we are delayed. We are delayed in that implementation aspect, and so actually this tool we're hoping is going to help us to catalyze to catch up on that. What we're envisioning though is that we have financial institutions through their own mechanism to help us to attract that. The more farmers we have interacting with the system, the faster we're able to get that learning curve up there and to then start to use the system for the administration of the grants. So within the matter of what we were planning to do in 4 years, we want to do it in 3 years, the remaining 3 years.
Sugar platform is expected to provide a centralized space where farmers and industry stakeholders can access multiple services, reducing the need to navigate separate systems and making information more readily available. Minister of Sustainable Development Orlando Habet is weighing in on the ongoing investigation into the massive fish kill in the Belize River Valley, saying more needs to be done to enforce environmental regulations, particularly among businesses operating near the country's natural resources. Habet says he has been following the situation closely and believes everyone has a responsibility to help protect Belize's waterways and environment.
These businesses, when they come in, and especially when they have to do land clearing, there are rules and regulations. One, for example, you have to do an EIA for clearing anything above 300 acres of land, whether it's for agriculture or any other productive area. The thing is that many times they start off well, but if there is not sufficient monitoring and compliance checking, then they don't comply. We try to be there as much as possible. It's not only the Department of Environment, there is Pesticide Control Board, there is the Ministry of Agriculture, there is the Ministry of Infrastructure. If they have to do any digging, if they have to do any canals or anything else, then you have the Ministry of responsible for mining. So it's a group of us. So I think what we have to do is to try to see how we can hold them to task on those commitments that they make, because they have to sign an ECP. They sign it, and until they sign it, then the department releases the environmental clearance. So on the ECP, we put the conditions, and when they agree, then they sign. So we have to be behind them. But what we have to realize also that historically, since the time that we were a British colony, a lot of our communities were built along the river because water is a resource. They couldn't care less for electricity at the time. All they wanted was water. So these communities were built. Even the Mayas, if you see where all the temples are, most of them are along the river, a street where there was access to water. So what do we do now? Try to see how we can work with them now, but also for those new ones, that they don't do what these other ones have been doing. For example, if the Lands Department is going to issue a title to a piece of property that's close to a water body, and it says 66 feet reserve or buffer between that water body, then we have to make certain that that happens. There is suggestion from Cabinet that maybe we should look at increasing that buffer to maybe 100 feet, because there are countries that have that and more. So we have to look at that. For those that are established, though, I think it's the biggest problem. But
the minister says it is too early to pinpoint a single culprit, noting that there could be more than one contributing factor behind the fish kill.
instead of writing something on Facebook or sending a letter saying that, oh, we are waiting and it's been 3, 4, 5 days, even going as far as accusing the government partners of doing something that is wrong, not knowing the entire story. I think that if we have professionals, especially specialists in the field, we should call the departments and say, listen, we have this expertise, we can help, let's work together, let's do this together, because it is not only the Belize River Valley. Yes, it is important for them. It's a livelihood for these people who depend on fish for their livelihood, who depend on the river for transportation, but it is also national, right? So we have to come together and work together.
Minister, so in that case, that raising, I imagine, of so much forest cover, 380 acres, that's what would have happened, right, for a rice farm. So the forest department wasn't aware of that?
They are looking at it because I don't know if those people had a request for an EIA or an environmental clearance. So if they are not, then they will have to be dealt with by the law. But normally they should have to. But it was not only that farm. It is, I think, in the last year or so, there's over 3,000 acres of land that was cleared. Right? But remember also, Santander has, close to Santander. And so what the report is showing is that even some of the independent studies and people that went into the canal say, okay, this canal is coming from Santander, but it's not that Santander is dumping directly into the canal. They have their ponds, leachate ponds and everything else, and when they overflow, they go into an Exxon, eventually into the canal, and then eventually into the river. But some of these farms also, I think 2 or 3 of them also empty into the same canal. So that is why I say it's hard to just pinpoint and say one. Maybe it's all of them.
Environment continues to conduct testing and gather evidence as investigators work to establish the cause of the fish kill. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Every day, the demand on your business get higher. More productivity, better equipment, and reliable support to keep up with a fast-moving world. At Cellular World Business Solutions, we're ready to help you boost performance across every operation. Don't let outdated technology hold you back. With our certified and supported solutions, your business stays ahead. We supply office equipment, printers, inks, and toners, software licenses, IT system assembly as your Dell Platinum and Cisco partner, appliances, and custom orders tailored to your needs. From startups to large enterprises and renowned institutions, we serve every corner of the country because no industry can afford to fall behind on technology. Let's take your business to the next level. Contact us today at 610-2494. Cellular World Business Solutions, your reliable partner in business success.
Belize is seeking to play a stronger role in shaping the future of regional trade and connectivity as Central American countries explore new ways to make the movement of people and goods safer, faster, and more efficient. A Belizean delegation participated in the ministerial dialogue, Central America at the Center, Connectivity and Integration for a More Competitive Region, held in Panama City on August 12, 2026. The delegation included Mrs. Narda Garcia, Chief Executive Officer in the Office of the Prime Minister, Investment and Civil Aviation, serving in her capacity as alternate governor to the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB), and Ms. Cinnamon Botaro, Belize's representative on the IDB Board of Directors. The meeting formed part of America en el Centro and IDB Regional Initiative focused on strengthening economic integration and improving connectivity among Central America, Panama, and the Dominican Republic. Ministers and senior government officials overseeing finance, transportation, and trade gathered to examine practical measures that could transform regional commerce. Among the key areas discussed were improvements to roads and border crossings, the modernization of customs and logistics systems, increased investment, and the removal of obstacles that slow the movement of goods across borders. One initiative highlighted during the discussions was Cargo Pass, which seeks to establish a more coordinated system for transporting cargo across borders while improving safety, efficiency, and traceability. For Belize, involvement in these conversations carries particular importance. The country has a distinctive position as a member of both SICA and CARICOM, giving it strong links to both Central America and the Caribbean. While Belize has traditionally maintained close economic and institutional relationships with its Caribbean neighbors, deeper integration with Central America could open new possibilities for local businesses, exporters, and consumers. Belize's participation also gives the country an opportunity to influence decisions about the infrastructure, transportation, corridors, border systems, and trade networks that will shape regional commerce for years to come. As Central America moves towards greater integration, Belize could serve as an important link between the region, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Stronger connections could expand market access for Belizean businesses while creating new opportunities for trade and investment. The government of Belize said it will continue collaborating with regional partners and the IDB to ensure the country is prepared to both benefit from and contribute to a more connected, competitive, and economically integrated Central America. Belize Department of Civil Aviation BDCA has begun consultations with agricultural aviation operators following a number of recent accidents involving the sector. On Tuesday, August 11, 2026, the department met with representatives of manned agricultural aviation companies currently operating in Belize. The discussions focused on preliminary safety findings from the recent incidents and explored measures aimed at improving safety while supporting the long-term sustainability of agricultural aviation. During the meeting, BDCA officials outlined a number of interim safety recommendations for operators to put into effect immediately. The department also called for stronger operational procedures and emphasized the need for proper regulatory certification and continued compliance with aviation requirements. The preliminary assessment of the accident served as a basis for the recommendations presented to the operators. Officials stressed that strengthening oversight and ensuring adherence to established safety standards will be critical to reducing risks within the industry. Representatives of the agricultural aviation companies welcomed the opportunity to engage directly with the department and express their support for the proposed safety measures. Operators also committed to working alongside the BDCA to develop enhanced safety protocols tailored specifically to agricultural aviation operations. Among the areas identified for improvement are accident and incident reporting systems, oversight of personnel and aircraft, and greater coordination among operators to share effective safety practices. The BDCA described the August 11 meeting as a start of an ongoing collaborative effort rather than a one-time engagement. Further meetings are expected as the department monitors the implementation of the recommendation and works with industry stakeholders to strengthen the regulatory framework governing agricultural aviation in Belize. The initiative is intended to foster closer cooperation between regulators and operators while ensuring that agricultural aviation activities are conducted under stronger and more consistent safety standards. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Friday, August 14th here on Ctv3 News and Face FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3newsbz. From all of us here at Ctv3, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.